Welcome to the Engineering, Emotions, and Energy Podcast. I am your host, Justin Wink. Today, we're going to be talking about going beyond average. How can you upgrade your life and go beyond what you maybe have been doing for a really long time? Because I had a big realization that I had been running a program that has been around probably for 25 plus years, and I immediately did something about it. I went and started reading Michael Bernoff's book, Average Sucks. Some of you that have heard me before, those of you not, Michael Bernoff is the best communicator probably in the world, arguably. And he's been an immense influence in my life since I started working with him about 6 years ago. And he just released his first book this week. So it came out on Tuesday and I already started reading it. And I didn't even get through the first chapter before I immediately had to take action on something. And that something was, if you're watching this on the Facebook live stream, you can see that completely new view from my camera. Because before I had my desk so that it was facing the wall and my back would be to the door in the center of the room. And the past couple weeks, because I've been working from home, as many of you have, I was just starting to dread being in this office in my house. You know, it's like all I could do was, because I had to be working, I would be there. But then when, okay, it's quitting time, I got to get out of here. I can't stand the space. There's just something about it I don't like anymore. And it's like, but I got things to do. I got a business I want to work on. I got some podcasts to record. I got some audios I need to edit and master and get released and things like that. And, you know, the office with the multi-monitor setup and my desktop computer is the best environment for that. Yet, like, just the feng shui, if you will, is just awful. And so I'm reading Michael Bernoff's book, Average Sucks, and he's talking about how when he was in high school, he worked really hard to be a phenomenal hockey player, but never really got any better than being average, no matter how hard he worked. And he didn't really become a really good hockey player until just a few years ago, when he realized that he'd always had the mindset that he was not a scorer. He was a shooter. And then when he kind of said, well, let me pretend to be someone who scores goals instead of someone who shoots goals, he started scoring goals. And just by that mindset, he got better and better and realized, like, wait, I'm a scorer. And now he's, you know, scores 2 to 3 goals every time he plays hockey with some really good hockey players, you know, people that probably went on to play college and things like that, which he never did. And it was all just on, you know, how do you see yourself? And that connected with me that my office setup, I'm running an old program because I've been having office setups like that since I was in high school, you know, and I'd have a desk in my room growing up. And it would be against the wall because, you know, when you're a kid or you're in college and you got your computer set up and your desk, you probably also have to fit a bed in there. So there just really isn't that space to have the desk away from the wall and facing the door. And I realized that, you know, watching Michael Bernoff do podcasts, I've even gotten to see his office at his Human Communications Institute. And then I'm also watching Vishen Lakhiani, founder of Mind Valley. He's doing live events from, you know, his home office, and they both have very similar things. And I've seen other very successful, very prominent, influential speakers with very similar setups. And the thing they all have in common that I noticed was that behind them is immaculate, and often they've got some books in view, and they can easily access books. So, like, you know, I can now do this. I just pulled out a book on influence that I recently got re-recommended because I actually read this book about 20 years ago when visiting Hawaii, the Big Island, for the first time with a college roommate. We stayed there for 3 weeks because his uncle had a house there, so we had a free place to stay. So we just had to get there. And so I had 3 weeks. And we had like no money, so we ended up realizing that 3 weeks is way too fucking long to be on an island if you don't have money to do much. But I got a lot of reading done, and this was one of the books I read, and so I'm excited to read it again because this is the revised edition. It's going to be interesting to see what really cool, crazy stuff I get out of it round 2. But the reason I bring up that is that I was finding it really hard with the way I had the desk set up to, one, it was cluttered, and two, I didn't have the things that mattered to me as accessible. And I was just really not enjoying the workspace. And I realized, like, I am running the office desk setup program of an 18-year-old, and I'm not an 18-year-old. It's, much, much later now. I'm 39 years old. I have a dedicated office. I don't have to fit a room with a bed and a desk and a couch or whatever. I have more rooms. I have a bedroom, and now I have an office room. And so, whoa, what if I set up my office like an office where the desk is away from the wall? And so I can now actually, I'll show the people at home, like I have a window, and I have a view that is actually, you know, there's trees and shit out there. It's delightful. And before I moved around all the furniture around, I, sat how I would sit as if the office is how it is now. And I was looked out the window and I started tearing up. I'm like, it's so beautiful. I can see trees and I can see the sky. Because for a lot of my work life and living life, it's like if I'm at the computer, the world is the computer. There was no way. It was like I was an elephant that was stake trained. If you're not familiar with that concept, it's that you got a baby elephant and you put a stake in the ground, chain the elephant to that. And, the elephant can only go, the 5 or 10 feet in a diameter circumference around that stake. And what's interesting is that you can continue when the elephant is larger and the elephant doesn't try to break the chain or pull the stake out of the ground because it has been trained that it's not going to happen, even though now the elephant is much bigger and has way more strength than the stake and the chain could ever hope to keep the elephant tied there. Yet, because it's become a force of habit. And I've realized that I just had a force of habit that I just go, I stare at the wall, I do my computing things, there's nothing out of it. Until I read Michael Bernoff's book and just, hey, can you view yourself as being something different than what you've been so that you're not doing average, you're doing above average. And I feel so much better, so much more excited to be in this space. And I've got, more things on the way. Currently I got a dual monitor setup. Actually, it's like 3 monitors because I have a work laptop, I got a main monitor, and then I have a secondary monitor. And so it's all monitors. It's ridiculous. I have no space on the desk to actually read, write, journal, anything without moving a whole bunch of junk around. And so now I'm excited. I've ordered a brand new monitor that's going to come that's, I only need the one monitor, and I'll put it on one of these arm things so that I can move it around and get it out of the way. And so I could actually have a desk where if I wanted to journal, or I could sit across from somebody and we could both, do a puzzle. We've been doing puzzles lately. Thanks to my wife's mom. She got us some puzzles. So we got puzzles to do. We'd actually have a space to do it. So it's really interesting how just these little mindset shifts can bust open the doors for new possibilities, new habits, new ways of being. And I haven't even finished the first chapter of this book yet, Average Sucks. So I'm really excited. Even though I've been working with them for 6 years, it's always amazing to kind of relearn material that you already know, but in new ways and new formats, because there's a different part of the mind that gets activated. And so I'm kind of really excited to go through in this material that a lot of it I'll probably go like, hey, that seems like familiar. And it's going to hit me in another way, which is why I always like to come on here and share the material I learn with you guys. Because even though you can, I'll always like to share, my teachers and my mentors where I get it from. And I definitely encourage you to go check with them. But I'm probably going to be uniquely able to communicate certain items to you that you'll just, boom, get it. Because I'll deliver it in a way that it just hits you. Because yesterday I was actually in a talk that was basically about the neuroscience of mindfulness and how it relates to us being calm and how it relates to us being focused. So doctor, she's out of, I believe, the University of Miami or University of Florida. I could get the exact details. And she brought up a study that was done on the effectiveness of mindfulness training, which is basically something I've been getting into with my Perfect Life meditation. And so the question was, is it more important to be an expert trainer in a mindfulness art, or is it better to be a context expert, which means that you are someone who is really good at, you basically know the people you're teaching to, you know where they come from, you know what they're all about. And so the study was done with, I believe it was with Marines. And so they brought in an individual who was a master meditation teacher for 25 years experience. And they brought in a psychologist, military psychologist. So, someone who'd been working with Marines, for his career, but hadn't really, done much mindfulness training, himself or taught ever before. And so they had a mindfulness program that they taught both of these individuals. One was a master trainer, and then one was just a military psychologist. And they trained them the technique, and then they went and they taught two different groups of Marines. And they thought, maybe it'd be about equal, or, they weren't really sure exactly how. But the Marines that were taught by the context expert, the psychologist, had phenomenal results, whereas those that were taught by the master mindfulness teacher, they almost got no benefit from doing the training. Just they couldn't connect with the material, they couldn't connect with the person. So the takeaway from the study was that it's more important that someone has the context of the audience to which they're teaching than that they maybe are a master at the material that they're trying to teach, which I thought was just phenomenal. So it's more important, and this is something that, in my experience of trying to learn something, get help with things, because, I've gone to therapy, I've gone to like therapy groups and 12-step groups, mostly Al-Anon, and, meditation groups and things like these, which the first time you go to any of these things, it's awkward, it's weird, it's annoying. And one of the things I always like to tell people is go to the person or go to the group that is the least annoying for you. It's all going to be annoying. It's all going to be weird. It's all going to be awkward. Just pick the one that seems like the least weird for you. And that is likely going to be, the context is going to be more similar. Because when I was going to Al-Anon meetings, I would find it much more comfortable if the group of people was very similar to like the kind of people that I'd interacted with, growing up, going to school, things like that, or similar socioeconomic background. It was least annoying to me. These people would still get on my nerves. Yet compared to if it was different socioeconomic, either, much higher, much lower, I just couldn't relate. And it was even more challenging for me to get the material. And so that's something I encourage everyone, if you're trying to get into something, make it as easy, because when it's easier, you're more likely to do it again and again. And it really is that little bit of repetition over time, which is going to be beneficial. So we're going to wrap up. So Average Sucks, Michael Burnoff, great read so far. Highly recommend it. I'm in my new space. I've got brand new accessibility to my books and my journals here. So if I'm, taking some trainings, it's going to be a lot easier for me to write it down and then share it with you guys. So I think we're in a really good space going forward for emotions engineering and for the Engineering Emotions and Energy podcast. Really excited to share a lot of stuff because just got done doing a 10-day meditation challenge, my first one ever. And the participants, they reported phenomenal results. One woman, she said she'd never been a morning person ever before, and she liked waking up and found that the last 2 weeks just sped by, and she was really enjoying her life a whole lot more. And that's the kind of stuff that I love doing for people, and I'm looking forward to doing more and more of it. So going to have some new meditation products coming out that we'll be announcing soon. So if you don't want to miss out, go to e-motionsengineering.com, sign up, and also check us out on Facebook at Emotions Engineering. Follow us there, and be curious, what's something that you realize that maybe you've been way too average lately? Like you look back and you're like, I've been doing the same thing for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and I don't even know why I started doing it that way. but it's a habit, and you know that if you slightly did it differently, you might get phenomenal results. Like, because I just rearranged my room, and I've just got so much excitement, so much more energy compared to this morning where I was dreading having to come up here and do my podcast with. I know I have a ton of fun, talking to you guys and sharing cool shit with. So what's something that you maybe realize that you could do a slight tweak, a slight little change, switch it up? I'd love to hear about it. So comment, let me know, and take care. Bye.